Disclaimer: this story explores mature emotional themes, focusing on personal growth, relationships, and self-discovery. While it does not contain explicit material, viewer discretion is advised. I used to think I noticed everything, the way the autumn wind swept the golden leaves across the pavement, the quiet hum of the city at dawn before the world fully woke up, the way my coffee tasted slightly different every morning. Depending on who made it, I thought I was observant. Until that one day, to be fair, Riley had always been there. Same office, same floor. We'd exchanged passing nods, the occasional small talk in the break room. She was just another familiar face in the blur of coworkers I interacted with daily. I knew she had a sharp mind, a quiet confidence, and a habit of tucking her hair behind her ear when she was focused. But she was just Riley, until she wasn't. It was a Tuesday, the kind of dull, gray afternoon that made time feel heavier. I was sitting in the company's shared lounge, half listening to a podcast through my headphones while scrolling mindlessly through my phone. And then, she walked in. Not just walked in, she entered, in a way I had never truly noticed before, wearing a fitted navy blazer over a black blouse. Her auburn hair loosely pinned back. She had this presence, one that suddenly made everything else in the room blur. She was speaking to someone, laughing at something they said, and for the first time, I really heard her laugh. Not just polite, workplace laughter, the real kind, the kind that felt warm, like a secret you wanted to hear again. I felt something shift. Had she always looked at people with that intense, thoughtful gaze? Had she always had that dimple in her cheek when she smiled? And how had I never noticed how stunning she was when she was lost in thought, biting her lip as she skimmed over reports? It wasn't just her looks, though. It was the way she carried herself, graceful but strong. The way she listened, really listened when someone spoke. The way she seemed so put together but had that soft, almost mischievous side hidden underneath. And then, as if the universe had decided I needed one last push, she turned and caught me staring, her head tilted slightly, an amused smirk tugging at her lips. My heart stuttered. Emma, right? She asked, voice smooth, effortless. I swallowed. Yeah. She crossed the room with an ease that made my pulse quicken. I was actually about to email you, she said, sliding into the seat across from me. I need your input on the Adari project. Work, of course. I scrambled to find something intelligent to say. But my brain was still catching up to the fact that Riley, a woman I had never given much thought to before, was suddenly the most captivating person in the room. She studied me for a second, her eyes dancing with something unreadable. You okay? I forced a laugh. Yeah, not just a long day, she nodded, a knowing look flickering across her face. Tell me about it. For the first time, we talked, really talked, and the more she spoke, the more I realized something unsettling. It wasn't that I had never noticed Riley before. It was that I had never allowed myself to, and now, I wasn't sure I could stop. For the rest of the day, I couldn't shake the conversation with Riley. It wasn't just what we talked about. It was the way she spoke. The way she looked at me like I was something worth paying attention to. I didn't just notice her. Now I was hyper aware of her. That night, I lay in bed staring at the ceiling, replaying every second of our interaction, the way she leaned in slightly when I spoke, the way her fingers tapped against the table as she listened, the way her eyes flickered with something unreadable when she asked if I was okay. Why did it feel like something had shifted between us? And why did it feel like she knew it too? The next morning, I tried to act normal. I told myself yesterday was just a moment, nothing more. But when I stepped into the office, my eyes betrayed me, searching for her before I could stop myself. And there she was. Riley stood by the coffee machine, her blazer draped over the back of a chair, white button-up sleeves rolled to her elbows. Her auburn hair was messy today, a few strands falling into her face as she focused on stirring her coffee. She looked up at me at the exact moment I looked at her. A beat of silence, then a smirk. Emma, she greeted, her voice smoother than my morning espresso. Riley, I replied, hoping my face wasn't giving me away. She took a slow sip of her coffee, watching me over the rim of her cup. So, about the Adair project. Work, right? I could do work. I moved to stand next to her, hoping she wouldn't notice the way my hands tightened around my notebook. What about it? She set her coffee down, turning to face me fully. You sent over some notes last night. I nodded. Yeah, just some ideas. They were good. She cut in, her voice softer now, really good. Something about the way she said it made my stomach tighten. Compliments were normal, praise was normal, but this felt different, more deliberate, more personal. I forced a chuckle, trying to lighten the moment. Are you saying you underestimated me? She tilted her head slightly, considering. No, I think I just hadn't looked close enough before. A sharp breath lodged in my throat. Before I could respond, someone called her name from across the room. She glanced over, then back at me, hesitating. I should. She gestured vaguely toward the voice. I nodded quickly. Yeah, of course. She grabbed her coffee, started to walk away, then paused just before turning the corner. Oh, she added casually, there's a gallery opening this Friday. I was thinking of going. You should come. An invitation from Riley. She didn't wait for my answer. She just smiled, a knowing kind of smile, and disappeared into the hallway. I stared after her, pulse hammering. This wasn't in my plans. Riley wasn't in my plans. But suddenly, I wasn't sure if my plans mattered anymore. I told myself I wasn't going to overthink it. It was just an art gallery, a casual invite. Colleagues went to events together all the time. No big deal. So why did my stomach twist every time I replayed Riley's words in my head? By the time Friday rolled around, I had spent far too much energy deciding what to wear. Professional, but not too stiff. Stylish, but not like I was trying too hard. After changing 3 times, I settled on black slacks, a silky emerald blouse, and just enough makeup to feel put together. I arrived at the gallery early, my nerves a tangled mess. The space was intimate, but modern, with dim lighting and paintings spaced elegantly along the white walls. Soft jazz hummed in the and suddenly, there she was. Riley stood in the entrance, scanning the room until her eyes landed on me, and just like before, everything else faded. She was wearing a deep burgundy dress, simple but stunning. Her auburn waves falling loosely over her shoulders. For the first time, she felt out of context. Out of the office, out of the routine, and I couldn't stop staring. She smiled, making her way toward me, her gaze never wavering. You came. I nodded, my throat inexplicably dry. You invited me. I did. She tilted her head, studying me for a beat longer than necessary. And you look amazing. I felt the warmth rise to my cheeks. But before I could respond, an unfamiliar voice interrupted. Riley. We both turned as a tall, elegant woman approached, dark hair, piercing brown eyes, a confidence that filled the room. She placed a hand lightly on Riley's arm. A touch that was both casual and intimate. Didn't think I'd see you here, the woman said, her gaze flicking to me with curiosity. Riley smiled, but there was something different in it now, less relaxed, more guarded. Emma, this is Claire. Claire's. Something in my chest tightened. Riley's ex, a friend, a past version of something that still lingered. Nice to meet you, I said, keeping my voice steady. Claire smiled, but there was something unreadable in her expression. Riley's never mentioned you before. Ouch. Riley let out a small laugh. Shifting slightly. We're colleagues. Something about the way she said it made my stomach twist. Maybe I had imagined it all. Maybe the looks, the tension, the unspoken something between us had been in my head. Claire was still watching me. Her expression smooth, but knowing. As if she saw something I hadn't fully admitted to myself yet. Riley cleared her throat. We should catch up later, Claire finished, her smirk almost teasing. Riley nodded, her jaw tight, as Claire walked away. Riley let out a slow breath, rubbing the back of her neck. I didn't know you had plans with someone else, I said, surprised by how small my voice sounded. Riley looked at me, then really looked. I didn't. A pause, a hesitation, then softer stay. There it was again, that pull. That quiet, undeniable shift between us, and for the first time, I wasn't sure if I wanted to fight it. I stayed. Maybe I should have walked away the moment Claire touched Riley's arm. But something in the way Riley looked at me, like she needed me there, kept me rooted in place. For the next hour, we moved through the gallery, pausing in front of paintings neither of us truly paid attention to. Every time our hands brushed, every time her gaze lingered a second too long. My heart pounded louder, but Claire was always in the background, watching, waiting. At one point, I turned to find her across the room, deep in conversation with someone else, but her eyes flickered to Riley, then to me. I didn't know what she saw, but the knowing smirk she gave me made my stomach twist. She's your ex, isn't she? I asked, my voice quiet. Riley exhaled, rubbing the back of her neck. Yeah, it was a long time ago. Does she think it still isn't? Riley's jaw tightened. It's complicated. Of course it was. It always was. Before I could respond, Claire was there. Again, stepping into the space between us like she belonged there. Riley, she said smoothly, can we talk? Riley hesitated, a beat too long. And just like that, the air between us shifted. You don't have to, I said quickly, not sure if I was trying to reassure her or myself, but Riley was already nodding. Give me a minute, okay? She walked away before I could answer. I told myself it was fine, that it didn't matter, that I had no claim over Riley, no right to feel this strange, twisting ache in my chest. But as I watched them talk, watched Claire reach for Riley's hand, watched the way Riley didn't immediately pull away, something in me cracked. I turned toward the exit, ignoring the voice in my head screaming at me to stay. I had noticed Riley too late. And now, I wasn't sure she was ever really mine to notice at all. I made it to the door before I heard my name. Emma. Riley's voice cut through the noise of the gallery, firm and certain. I hesitated, my hand still on the door handle, but something in her tone made me turn. She stood there, alone. Claire was nowhere in sight. Her eyes searched mine, her chest rising and falling like she had just run to stop me. You're leaving? I forced a small shrug, trying to keep my expression neutral. Seemed like you had things to figure out. Riley let out a breath, stepping closer. Claire doesn't matter. I wanted to believe her. But the way she had looked at Claire, the way she had hesitated before walking away, it stuck in my mind like a splinter I couldn't remove. Are you sure? I asked, quieter now. Riley's fingers twitched at her sides like she wanted to reach for me, but wasn't sure if she should. I didn't. She stopped, ran a hand through her hair, frustrated. I didn't handle that well. Claire and we have history, but that's all it is. She doesn't get to walk back in and decide she still knows me. Then why did you let her? Riley flinched. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. The tension between us was thick, but this time, it wasn't charged with stolen glances or lingering touches. It was something heavier. Riley exhaled sharply. I've spent so much time not letting myself feel things that when I do, I second guess everything, but I know what I want, Emma, and it's not her. The gallery doors swung open behind us, and I barely had time to register the sound of heels clicking against the marble floor before Claire's voice cut through the moment like a blade. Riley. Riley's expression darkened before she turned to face her. Claire, not now. She should know. Claire interrupted, eyes locked onto me. Before you make her believe in something that's never going to happen. My heart slammed against my ribs. Know what? Claire smirked, but there was no amusement in it, only sharp edges that Riley doesn't to relationships. Not real ones. She convinces herself she wants something until it gets too close to real, and then she leaves. Every single time. A cold weight settled in my stomach. I turned to Riley, but she didn't deny it. She just stood there, jaw tight, hands clenched. Tell me she's wrong, I said, hating how unsteady my voice sounded. Riley closed her eyes for half a second. Then, too quietly, she said, I don't know how. The ground felt like it was shifting beneath me. Claire sighed, shaking her head. I'm not saying this to hurt you, Emma. I'm saying it because I've been you, and it doesn't end the way you think it will. Silence, and then, just as suddenly as she appeared, Claire walked away, leaving nothing but a hollow kind of truth in her wake. I swallowed hard, forcing myself to meet Riley's gaze again. Is that true? Riley opened her mouth, closed it, and that hesitation was my answer for the first time since this whole thing started. I wasn't sure if noticing Riley had been a mistake. I stood there, waiting for her to say something. Anything that would change what I already knew. But Riley was silent. Her eyes were filled with everything she wasn't saying. But that wasn't enough. Not anymore. I let out a slow, uneven breath. I should have known. My voice was quiet, but every word felt heavy. Maybe I just wanted to believe I was different. Riley took a step forward, something desperate in her expression. Emma. I shook my head. No, don't do that. Don't reach for me if you're just going to let go. Her jaw clenched. I don't want to let go. Then prove it. I challenged, my pulse pounding. Tell me you're not scared. Tell me Claire was wrong. Tell me you won't run the second this stops feeling safe. Riley opened her mouth, but no words came. And that silence was louder than anything she could have said. I felt my throat tighten, that's what I thought. I turned toward the door, pushing past the ache in my chest. But before I could take another step, I felt her fingers wrap around my wrist. Wait, I froze. Riley's grip wasn't tight. But it wasn't hesitant either. It was steady, certain. I'm scared, she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. But not of being with you. I'm scared of screwing this up. Of not knowing how to be what you deserve. I turned back, my heart slamming against my ribs. And running is better than trying, Riley swallowed. Hard. It's all I've ever known. I stared at her, my anger and hurt warring with something softer, something that had been there from the moment I first really noticed her. Then learn, I said, quieter now with me. Riley exhaled sharply, like she had been holding her breath for years. And then she pulled me to her. The world around us faded as she kissed me, slow and certain, as if she had finally decided, as if she had finally stopped running, and for the first time, I wasn't afraid of letting her catch me. Riley didn't pull away. Neither did I. For the first time since this whole thing started, there were no mixed signals, no hesitations, just the warmth of her lips on mine, the quiet certainty in the way she held me. When we finally broke apart, the night air felt cooler against my skin. The hum of the city surrounded us. But in that moment, nothing else existed except the space between us. Riley let out a small, almost nervous laugh. I think that's the first time I've ever stopped myself from running. I smiled, breathless. How does it feel? Her fingers brushed against mine before she laced them together, like something I don't want to mess up. For the first time, I saw it. The vulnerability in her eyes, the quiet fear beneath the confidence. She usually wore like armor. Claire had been right about one thing. Riley had a habit of running when things got too real. But what Claire didn't know, what even Riley hadn't realized until now, was that it wasn't because she didn't care. It was because she cared too much. I squeezed her hand. Then don't, she exhaled, slowly, as if letting go of something heavy. I won't. We stood there for a moment, just breathing, letting everything settle. Then Riley smirked, tilting her head. So what now? I rolled my eyes, but I was smiling. Dinner, preferably. I'm starving. She laughed, her grip tightening just slightly. I know a place, come with me. It wasn't just a question about dinner. It was a question about us, about whether I was willing to trust her, to take the risk, even though I knew there were no guarantees. I looked at her, the woman who had frustrated me, confused me, challenged me, and realized that, somehow, she had become someone I wasn't willing to walk away from. So I nodded, yeah, let's go. And for once Riley didn't run, she stayed, because this time, she had something worth staying for. Did you enjoy the story? What kind of stories would you like to hear next? Drop your thoughts in the comments.